Now, the psychology of fear. What I understand about it is that you have one of two reactions to a fearful situation. The first is that you will either fight, or the second is that you will flee. When it comes to public speaking, it's no different. We either have that fear. The flee, of course, is how do I get out of it? And the fight is, right, I'm going to prepare to the ultimate extreme and they will get what they are given. We recognise that. So obviously neither approach is ideal. What we want for you is to not be fearful of it. So what we've got is a little clip here. I just want to show you. It's a little bit funny. Maybe you've seen it. Can you just pop that on for us, Mark, please?
But I'll just wing this.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, we'll wing it right now. I try to take people on an emotional ride, and
The curve? How do you think it's going to impact how viewers experience your movies?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Michael Bay for joining us.
Okay. How do you feel at the moment for him? What do you feel sorry for him? Embarrassed? I just think, what were you doing? I was cross with him. Absolutely. And it happened on a live TV show, on a live awards ceremony. Now, what happened to him is that his technology failed. In the States, I was there in July last year to this international public speaking convention, and I'll tell you what, the Americans, they know how to speak. And they teach their kids public speaking from the time they start school. You can major in it in high school. So they actually really know what they're doing. But and when I saw this, I thought, I know exactly what's happened, because at the convention, I wasn't speaking, I was just an attendee. And in the ground of the stage, there's these ever so slightly tilted screens which have all their words on them, and there might be like 6 of them, so you can actually pace across and you can see. And what some of the speakers do is that they will put their entire script up. So that is our read version. And when his was gone, he had nothing. So his situation arose because probably he didn't even write that himself. And then he hadn't even thought about it, and he thought he'd rock on up there, read what was on the stage, look gorgeous, flick his blonde locks around and then scoot off. But when he had no technology, he had nothing. So to me, I was annoyed with him because I thought, actually, you should be prepared for when that happens. What happens if this technology didn't work today for me? What would I have done? Yeah, so, I had a PowerPoint, never mind, doesn't matter. Because actually, this is the bit that's all about you. They're there to see you, not that. And do not be upstaged by technology, because you are the star of the show. And as soon as the technology becomes the star of the show, nobody's interested really in what you've got to say. So he was relying on that technology. So, we don't want to get into that situation. But what can we do? Okay, this is my motto. We're kind of over it now, but fake it till you make it. Honestly, it's the best way to go. It's the best way. So if you go back to our reaction to fear, when you run into that bear in the woods, just turn to the bear, smile, turn around and walk away. Chances are he's not going to chase you because he doesn't think that you're, I don't know, don't do that if you come into a bear, by the way. And you'll be suing me because you got attacked by a bear. But that makes the most sense. Smile and wave, show no fear. Absolutely. And that's fine to say as well. But what you've got to do, first of all, is you have to prepare mentally. Now, the biggest thing that you can do to destroy your presentation is negative self-talk. Now, this might be a bit kind of, fruity and out there, but you need to ask yourself, what happens inside my head? So if you're saying, I'm not prepared, technology's going to fail, I haven't practiced, I've only got notes, all this negative stuff, you're actually going to really get yourself in a bind. So you have to get yourself in the situation where it's positive. Now, I've been working with a guy at the moment, and he is very, very anxious. He's a very, very talented, skilled professional, and he is over being anxious about it and when he comes to present. So what, we quickly identified in his head, he's just like, there's something, and it's not like a voice, like going, like a Sybil voice or whatever, but it's actually in his mind, he knows he's going to muck it up. So every time a thought like that comes into his head, we've managed to get him, what he does, and hopefully you won't see him talking or you'll know it's him, oops. He just does a wee flick with his finger, which is flicking away the thought. Flicking away. Does anybody see Dr. Martin? Did you see that? Does anyone watch that? With that crazy pharmacist lady with their rubber band? Poing, poing. That's the exact same, it's a psychological tool, isn't it? It's like, oh, no, I can't think that ping. So, don't use a rubber band or anything. But that's having a little tool to think, actually, no. Or even a little mantra. Sometimes I encourage my clients to do that. I'm good at it, I know what I'm doing, I've practiced it, they've invited me. I'm good at it, I know what I'm doing, I've practiced it, I've invited it, they've invited me. So anything that doesn't allow that negative noise into your head, because the negative noise will be the thing that will trip you up. So you just think, okay, that's fine. I know what I'm doing, I'm good at it, I've practiced it, you've invited me here, it's good, it doesn't matter. So that's really important. Right, prepare physically. Okay, I'm not very good at this because I kind of like, I'm a little bit like a marathon runner for speaking, because I kind of get on and I just go. I don't think, oh, I need a drink. But have water. Water is good. Water buys you time. This is not ideal. I should have put it in a glass, because now you imagine this now. Excuse me. That's not going to work for you, is it? I needed a glass. And don't have a sipper bottle. Why wouldn't you have a sipper bottle? Excuse me. Now, I'd like to talk to you about professional speaking. Have a glass. Have something that's kind of nice that's going on with the water. And that idea of breath. Be really aware of your breathing. And breath slows us down. Breath makes our message strong. Okay, and being aware of what happens to you. Right, this is the honesty session. The cone of silence is now being lowered over the tables. What happens to you when you get nervous? Come on. Your mind goes blank? Yes. Right. So if you put it into the analogy of the bear, your mind goes blank for what reason? I'm in denial. There is no bear. I'm about to die, so I don't need to think about it. Possibly? Possibly. Anything else? I laugh. You laugh, you get the giggles. Yeah? Right. How can we help you with that, do you think? Breath. If you're breathing through your nose, you cannot giggle. You try it. Doesn't work. Yeah. It doesn't. So if you start concentrating when you come to present on being a nose breather, the giggles will go. They will absolutely disappear. So there's a little tip. Anybody else got anything they... Shaking. Right. Okay, yes, tachycardia. Bring in the... Resuscitate me, I'm about to do a presentation. Okay, so what is actually physically happening there? Fright. Okay, so you've faced the bear. Oh my God, there's a bear. What happens is your adrenal gland kicks into action and it starts putting this adrenaline into your bloodstream, which is essentially a drug for better purposes, a human-created drug. And if we were facing the bear, it's there because it will make us run faster to get away from the bear. But we don't want to run. But our heart races, we start to shake because the adrenaline is changing the chemical balance in our bloodstream. Sweat, exactly the same thing. Any physiological responses that we have, shakes, sweats, heart rate, the blush. Does anybody blush? Right. That's a hard thing. It's like, I can't stop it. It just comes. And the next thing, your head looks like a beetroot and it's, it's not very nice. It's a physical reaction to the adrenaline. So what you've got to do is you've got to give the adrenaline an antidote. And the only one we know of that's not, major medical intervention is oxygen, breathing. So if you start putting a decent amount of oxygen into your bloodstream, you will lessen the effects of the adrenaline. It's the simplest way to do it. For some people, that blushing, you might still get a bit of big blush. I worked with one lady just recently, and she was a young lawyer. And she rang, she said, "Oh, Del, this is," because she'd been to one of these courses, and she said, we talked about it there, but she said, I'm beside myself. She said, I was in court the other day, and she was the big cheese lawyer, I don't even know the proper words for them, the big cheese lawyer who's there running the case, and she was helping him. And he turned to her and he said, "Do something about the red neck." She's like, because she'd stood up, and she's like, "Oh my God." She said, "He's told me I can't go back, because I'm basically giving the game away." So I was like, "Gosh, seriously, what are we going to do?" She managed to get it off her face, but her neck still went really mottled. So I said, "Right, go buy a scarf." I don't know. And she was like, "I did. It's beautiful." She said, "Now I've got an extensively gorgeous scarf collection." And she said, "You can't see it." She's managed to keep it off her face, but it still comes into that blotchy neck. So I don't know, that's the only advice I could give her. She's really working on her oxygen. But for her, it was really important. Anything else happen? No. That happens to me, honestly. I always sometimes say that to groups and they go, "Oh, seriously, that's weird." But I said, "No, I feel like I need to pee. Seriously." And then I go to the toilet and I'm like, "No, I didn't." How embarrassing. But again, it's a physical reaction because, and once I had a doctor, this is pretty gross, but once I had a doctor who said what happens is basically, if you're faced with the bear, the adrenaline kicks in, and it's done on purpose to empty your bowels so that you can run faster. Seriously, it makes sense when you think of it like that, doesn't it? It's like, right, eject, we're on our way, So when you think of it like that, it makes complete sense. So all you're doing is, rather than thinking I'm freaking out, it's like, "Oh, my body's reacting to the adrenaline. I've taken a bit much this morning. I need to go and, chill out a bit and have some air." So that's what's really important, to understand that actually your body's just doing what it's naturally designed to do. So if you're doing those things, if you are saying to yourself, "Right, I'm planned, I'm prepared, I've practiced, I know what I'm doing, I'm good at it, they want me here, I've got lots of oxygen, I look fabulous, I'm standing up straight, no one can see anything," why would you turn and run? Really? Probably no reason. No reason. Now, the other thing is about the cycle of anxiety. Now, our friend that we saw before, probably most of you are really lovely, kind people and felt sorry for him. Now, what he would have picked up from that audience is that sympathy. So if I'm up here and I've mucked up and you can see that I'm having a bit of a meltdown, you're like, "Oh, poor Del. Oh, that's terrible." I can pick up that vibe from you, and then I'm like, "Oh God, they feel sorry for me, this is terrible, I'm making a big hash of this." And you're like, "Oh God, she's getting worse." And then the next minute I'm in a puddle on the ground virtually and the whole thing's custard and you feel really sorry for me. What you want to see me do is get on with it, don't you? So my foo-foo, which I was going to tell you was perfectly staged, but it wasn't. My foo-foo with the technology, you've forgotten about that because it didn't put me off. If I had let it, I was actually secretly going, "Oh my God, you stupid. What are you doing that for? You're just playing with your microphone and your bunch of..." But actually, it didn't let it put me off. So you've just got to keep that control as you go along.